People say, William, you and the 5% often talk about what is wrong, but what can we do about these problems? Well, today, here are some simple verbal habits that could transform your verbal all-out political war to cooperation, dialogue, respect, and problem solving. They're taken from an article titled, People Who Adopt These 5 Verbal Habits in 2021 Have Very High Emotional Intelligence. That's a mouthful. Written by Bill Murphy and published February 13th of 2021 in the Inc. magazine. Mr. Murphy says, they're simple, they're effective, and they're just a matter of memorizing a few short phrases. Let me do that again. He says they're simple, they're effective, and they're just a matter of memorizing a few short phrases. I will be combining Mr. Murphy's tips with my own related to becoming the change we wish to see as 5%ers. Using these simple phrases, you see, can keep your political conversation peaceful and respectful. So, number 1, tell me more. Bill Murphy says, this is one of the most powerful phrases in the universe. By using this emotionally intelligent response, you are inviting your friend or colleague to share, explore, and maybe even find a solution. One of the current problems in politics is that people and political parties hear a phrase or a personal political position that an individual uses or takes, then assumes they know what that person thinks, what they mean, and what they are going to say next. How much more dehumanizing can you get? I hope you don't practice that. Tell me more puts you in the learner's seat as explorer and communicates interest, value, and respect. It generally helps disarm defensiveness. One of the biggest problems in our current us-them fight and flight politics is defensiveness. You cannot have a dialogue if people lock down and emotionally lock down. What I meant to say is you cannot have a dialogue if people lock down mentally and emotionally. Tell me more opens the door. Now, number 2. Thanks for understanding. From Mr. Murphy, emotional intelligence involves shifting the focus of interactions from yourself to others. Here are some examples. My boss needed my help on something at the last minute, so I missed the meeting. Thanks for understanding. I wanted to go to your party, but by the time I got home, it was so late. I realized I'd only be able to come for 10 minutes. Thanks for understanding. It's subtle, but this phrase combines gratitude, sympathy, and other focus, all in one package. It is very powerful. Again, this one is very important for you to say when a person disagrees with your position or reasoning. You might substitute listening for the word understanding. Thanks for your listening. Thanks for your understanding. Remember, dialogue requires listening and understanding. It is not about convincing someone to accept your position or your point of view. It is about finding common ground and respect. Those factors must be present to move past proposed solutions to talking about the problem that we are trying to solve. Remember, it's also good for you to say, I understand. I understand does not mean I agree. Excuse me. Now, number 3, am I making sense? Bill Murphy's comment here is very important. Am I making sense? This softens our tendency to just make declarative statements, short conversation stoppers, and replaces it with the rising pitch of an open-ended question. Am I making sense? It's a very powerful, emotionally intelligent mechanism that enables people to make suggestions, tune in to the listener, and pull the other people into a conversation along with you. Listen to these subtle differences. Do you have any questions? Creates a hurdle for other people in conversation. Do you understand? Can put people on the defensive. The subtle message is, you've explained perfectly, and now we need to work on the other person's remedial understanding. Am I making sense? Humility is powerful. It shifts the presumption to, it might be my fault, as opposed to the other person's. They just don't understand. Making it easier for the other person to respond truthfully and completely. Use this emotionally intelligent strategy to facilitate communication and break down defensiveness. Now, here's something you might need. It's the definition to emotional intelligence, the phrase that Bill uses often. Emotional intelligence is most often defined as the ability to perceive, use, understand, manage, and handle emotions. People with high emotional intelligence can recognize their own emotions and those of others, use information to guide thinking and behavior, discern between feelings and label them appropriately, and adjust emotions to adapt to environments. Emotional intelligence is typically associated with empathy because it involves an individual connecting their personal expenses. Oh, wow. Emotional intelligence typically is associated with empathy because it involves an individual connecting their personal experiences with those of others. That definition comes from Wikipedia. 5%ers hold our positions because we are people who have high levels of emotional intelligence. The change we seek is not all about self, but about we, the people, collectively. Am I making sense? Again, is a critical measure if we are in a dialogue versus just talking to or talking over the other person or persons. We cannot have shared meanings of keywords. We cannot get to problem identity, and we cannot move forward to problem solving when we are not making sense to the listener. Number 4, I love what Mr. Murray says here, and this time I really don't have anything to add. Absolutely nothing. You know the old saying, don't just stand there, do something. People with high emotional intelligence prefer the opposite. Don't just do something, stand there. Or don't just say anything, keep quiet. Saying nothing means you're not saying something stupid. It means you're giving yourself time to think before replying. Builds trust. It also means, since people are naturally inclined to fill silences, that you're inviting others to say something. And if you don't have something emotionally intelligent to say nothing. Silence is powerful. And now we'll move on to the 5th and important base that Mr. Murphy talks about. The phrase, hello. Here are some excerpts from his comments. Hello, Wait, you might say, hello? Huh. Doesn't everybody say hello? Actually, no. Pay attention to how people open conversations, and you'll see that they more often start with open-ended questions, questions that everybody knows they have no desire to know the answer to. At very least, even if you do care about a person's answer, everyone knows that your goal is to move past the answer and get to the point of your conversation. Sorry to hear about your headache, but I need your help in. I know this sounds incredibly semantic, maybe even hair-splitting, but opening instead with a declaration, basically anything that doesn't involve a disingenuous question that you don't really want the answer to, is an improvement. Examples: hello, great to see you. Thanks for coming by. See what I mean? There are neutral, positive messages, neither particularly other-centered nor self-centered. So, 5%ers, how you start a conversation that will likely turn to politics is very important. If the goal is to talk about politics or even to share the 5% message, start with a neutral or positive message. It is true, you will see a difference, especially when combined with the other 4 phrases listed. So again, 5 simple phrases that can keep your political conversation peaceful and respectful. Hello. Tell me more. Thanks for your understanding. Am I making sense? Yes, silence, saying nothing. Memorize them. Make them your habit to use. Be the change you wish to see. These 5 simple phrases will model cooperation, dialogue, respect, and problem solving.